Lincoln Kienholz will get the first snap today, the third-year man at the most extensive playing experience of his career over a year ago in the bowl game, the Cotton Bowl against Missouri, and he is throwing on the move, a long throw complete to Bryson Rogers. Here's how the scoring works today. Jake, you're in charge of this.
The spring game, and as is true in spring games, even this is probably fluid, right? We'll stay on our toes up here in the booth.
That's exactly right. The offense, traditional scoring. You can see the defense gets points for touchdown, sacks, takeaways, 3 and outs, and forcing punts. And we're expecting maybe 2-3 series from the ones against the ones today, guys. But look, we mentioned it in the open. A lot changing on the offensive line, certainly a quarterback. On the defense, all over the place. Carnell Tate there, couldn't hold on.
And that's what I think we're going to see today. Decision making, understanding where route progressions are going, where you're protected in pass pro.
Here's Kienholz, a long throw, and that zips through the hands a little too high for Jeremiah Smith. 205 career catches. Emeka Egbuka out the door with an Ohio State record, and this man stepping right into those shoes.
The luxury here in Columbus is they have plenty of weapons to throw to. That's the best receiver in college football as it stands right now. So whoever's under center, plenty of weapons to distribute to.
And Tyvis is going to talk with Emeka coming up. That is Joe McGuire back again to punt for the Buckeyes. We'll see some Jaden Fielding today as well. The kicker is John Froman, the third-year snapper who comes down to spot that. And now Julian Sayin, the second-year man who had some light opportunity last year, takes over and he throws complete to C.J. Donaldson, the transfer from West Virginia. Julian Sayin, of course, third string last year, comes in early last year, transferring in from Alabama. And just a sophomore, and a big opportunity for the young man from Southern California.
From the moment he stepped on campus, there's been a ton of buzz around Sayin. And really, when you look at Sayin and Kienholz, these are two really different quarterbacks. Julian Sayin is more of your prototypical pocket passer. He's listed at 6'1". Seeing him at practice yesterday, 5'11", 6 foot seems a little bit more reasonable to me. And that was an accurate out route. We just saw Lincoln Kienholz miss 2 of those same opportunities on the prior drive.
Well, that was to Mylan Graham, the sophomore, trying to add some depth. That ball is batted and still caught by Brandon Inniss, who has said his time is now, and definitely a breakout candidate in this receiving group for Ohio State. Some pistol here for C.J. Donaldson. And, of course, the running back room, one that it's gutted when you lose Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins.
A huge part of that is the downhill run game. This run game in Ohio State is often based out of the pistol. Downhill, get the ball into your backs, and there we go. Nice job finding your tight end, a little corner route.
Jelani Thurman.
Jake, I know you love this route, a little play action. Corner route, settles in the zone. Perfect throw, throttles him down, and away you go. And this is the arm talent of Julian Sayin, and knowing what the defense is doing out in front of you in a zone, know where the defenders are, perfect location.
They ran the play on the previous. They ran the ball on the previous play, and they get into play action and open it up for Jelani Thurman.
Back to the ground, C.J. Donaldson, big hole, and he finally gets cut down in the secondary by Leroy Roker, the sophomore from Fort Myers.
Double teamed by the new tackle Phillip Daniels, transferring in from Minnesota.
Sayin, end zone shot, and it's broken up by Aaron Scott Jr. He came in with so much anticipation last year, the number 2 corner in the nation in the class, played 74 snaps. There's a lot of competition at cornerback for this defense, and he's a big part of it.
Look at the end of the play. Hand-to-hand combat. I like it right there. Guys just battling, defense is saying it's clean, offense is saying it's a PI. Love seeing that competitive temperament.
Good ball, good throw.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Emeka Egbuka down there, you're saying, hey, I make that play.
Sam Williams-Dixon will get his first carry. They're happy to have him back in this running back.
Just to go back to that previous play, though, Guy, the competition outside receivers and corners is, I mean, this is effectively an NFL program here. Seriously, Ohio State's starting 3 wide receivers, that's an NFL receiver room. Even their second unit, the young guys, they're deep in the secondary. I find it just a point to emphasize here for Ohio State's culture. Devin Sanchez is a 5-star that's not guaranteed to start for this defense. Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham, these guys would start everywhere, but they're here to compete in Columbus.
Sayin throws that complete to Max LeBlanc, the tight end. And C.J. Donaldson back in at running back. Already took the shot to Mylan Graham. He's alone at the top of the screen. And Sayin is looking that way again. And this time he's able to lose the defender who slips and falls. That was Scott, but they can't connect for the touchdown.
It was a great job by Mylan Graham. I mean, he cooked Scott on the release and was wide open. This is something we saw at practice. They were working these fade routes down in the end zone because they have such physically gifted and talented receivers.
Has to play in front of 40,000 people or whatever it might be here today. Give him the opportunity.
Back to the ground. Donaldson into the leg. Touchdown Scarlet.
It's a great drive by Julian Sayin. Give a ton of credit to the big fellas up front, though. The double teams, once again, running behind that right side of the offensive line. I believe that's number 70, Philip Daniels, once again, washing the defensive end. And it'd be fun to play running back here in Columbus with those big-time holes.
Man, I want to play any position here. I don't know if we'd be good enough. You would be, man. Such talent, you're right, and the drive. Watching that, I felt like I was watching Ohio State, Tennessee in the first round of the playoff. There's Coach Hartline right there in the middle. He said, well, we want to think the same. And that's where they're at right now. They've walked into many meetings where you're scripting practice, a 2-minute drill, whatever the situation might be, and they're saying, I'm thinking about this. Oh, I was just thinking about that. And that, to me, is when the great staffs really come up. It reminds me of way back in the day, Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, when they were both co-coordinators at USC under Pete Carroll, they all thought the same. And look at how that impacted them as their careers went on. I think that Brian Hartline's got a chance to be one of the great play callers in the country.
#1 offense against the #1 defense again. And Brian Hartline, by the way, will be on the field for the second half calling plays. Max Clare, nearly a spectacular back shoulder cover there by Davison Igbinosun, the tight end from Purdue. All right, how good is he, Jake?
He is Mackey Award good. That's how talented he is. I think this is one of the more underrated pickups of any team in college football this offseason. This guy right here is going to be matched up one-on-one on linebackers.
Coming from a man who won the Mackey, and you're on the board for them.
On the board, so I'm starting the way for Max Clare.
I think it's an underrated storyline, whether it was the mid-year enrollees that were true freshmen or the portal guys. They came in, and the veterans of last year's national championship team voted on, yeah, we want them to come. We want them to be part of the brotherhood. They watched how they were so mission-minded, how they attacked practice, meetings, preparation, and it's really elevated and set the standard for the new faces.
There's Jeremiah Smith. He almost gets glossed over a little bit because what more can you say about a guy who might be the best player in college football, a Heisman candidate? So, Yogi, what more can you say about him?
Well, I think that he's really working at his craft. So what does that mean? Well, when you're a freshman, you come in and you want to get a hold of your position. You're going to run a handful of routes because you wanted to get a guy like Jeremiah Smith on the field. Midway through the season, we're watching him on reverses, end arounds, special trick plays. You watch the playoffs, and all of a sudden against Oregon, he's the best player in America. And I think now for this spring, it's working on understanding how defensive backs think. The first 5 yards of a route, what's a corner thinking? Second 5 yards of a route, what's a safety overhang player thinking? And then understanding those little nuances of the craft.
That's Carnell Tate, and it's Julian Sayin getting his opportunity here with the one. Here's what Jeremiah Smith did as a freshman.
Well, one thing that's new, he's effectively a rock star. I mean, he might be the most popular guy in the city of Columbus, and you're looking at a Heisman campaign this year. So good. Would be surprised if he wins it in back-to-back years. That's how talented he is, and really, he has a maturity about him. You know, he's a professional. From the minute he walked on campus, he treats this like a business. He understands he wants to be one of the best to play the game, is as good as you'll find in college football.
Sayin steps up, and there is Tate with the reception, beat Igbinosun, and he is touchdown at the 27-yard line.
He's transformed his body too. He's lost about 30 pounds since getting on campus. You know, there's some nuance to the spring game. Everybody loves offense.
They have a bunch of players, and I love this, they could have left but said, no, I want to be part of this program, but haven't played a ton of snaps. We see a little seam route. Back to tight end.
And there is Max Clare's first touchdown as a Buckeye in front of fans.
He gets lost there too, doesn't get carried in zone coverage. Really impressive. There he is right there, lined up number 86. Nice job on the release, doesn't get touched right inside. Sonny Styles, linebacker, doesn't get depth in Arvell Reese. Nice job in the red zone anticipating that.
But that right there structurally is why I'm so high on Max Clare. Split safety defense. Why? Because teams have to have safety coverage and help because of the talent Ohio State has at the wide receiver position.
You see the play that he just made for that touchdown. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that this season.
Lincoln Kienholz back out for his second series. This time he gets his first opportunity with the twos.
There hasn't been a tight end at Ohio State that's had over 41 catches. Cade Stover had the most in 23 with 41 grabs. I think it's over 50 easy for this young man. He's so gifted, and I think it's going to be such a challenge for defensive coordinators.
This is the deepest tight end room Ohio State has had, maybe ever, but certainly in a really long time. The more they can get involved in the run game, the more they'll be able to open up in the pass game and play action like on that touchdown.
And we just saw a little bit of Nate Roberts there, the tight end, the freshman. Talk about another fun prospect at tight end. 6'5", 235, Washington, Oklahoma. 3 straight undefeated state championships for a 4-star recruit who initially committed to Notre Dame, decommitted a couple years ago, and was also a part of this group because he came in early. They got to see the title run.
Yeah, they do such a nice job here at Ohio State of letting you get to connect with the players. You hear some of their interviews. Nate Roberts said, as a mid-year enrollee, inside drill, which is probably the most physical drill in football, he was like, whoa, okay, there's some grown men here that I'm going up against.
And there he is making the catch.
Iron sharpens iron. The competition here in Columbus is only going to make him better.
Kienholz trying to load up, and now he's pressured into a scramble. Let's go down. Emeka Egbuka with Tyvis Powell.
Sitting here with Emeka Egbuka. This is the first game being played in the shoe since the Tennessee game. Do you miss it?
I do miss it. Special atmosphere out here in the shoe, and it's something that I got to keep reliving on my mind just to be able to get that feeling back. So it's definitely amazing. I'm super glad to be back here.
You declare for the NFL draft. What's that experience been like?
It's been amazing. This is something I've been working towards since I was young. So, try not to rush it, take it all in, enjoy it with my family. You only get this process one time. So, draft coming up here in 2 weeks. So, definitely trying to look forward to soaking in every moment.
Yeah, we got to check the Carfax on that one. We might need to race today to see if I still got it. Give us a young guy. You've obviously been in this wide receiver room for many, many years. Give us a young guy that maybe the world doesn't know about that we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, obviously all the wide receivers.
Can I make another bold claim here?
Bring it.
I think Ohio State has the most athletic linebacker room in college football between Styles and Arvell Reese.
Butkus Award candidate Sonny Styles.
Yeah, well, he can do a little bit of everything. Come off the edge. He can bring a little pressure on a quarterback. He gets his hands around the ball. He's got such a nose for the ball. He's extremely physical. Great bloodlines, and he just loves this place. This is a guy who had a chance to also join Emeka Egbuka and many others to get drafted and said, no, I want to come on back. I just love how he carries himself.
There's Max Clare out in the flat. Is it safe to say he'll be the guy with the green dot, the communication this year? There's all 4 defensive linemen. Of course, the guy that wore the Blocko, the 0 at linebacker, the captain, Cody Simon. That's part of this, too, leadership. Kienholz to throw here on 3rd down, and he loops that over the head of Smith, incomplete. It was Igbinosun in front from Columbus on the Big Ten Network.
See them and say, how impressive is this? We want to live up to the standard that you all have set.
So right now I'm sitting here with G. Scott. He's breaking them down to us. Look at these rings. First of all, you got to put your glasses on when you want to look at these because it's so much jewelry. Look at that. And then it opens up and it's got the confetti inside.
Official confetti.
Even when we won it in 2014, we didn't get this. I want to recount.
History made right here.
Was it all? It was all worth it, huh? All right. So what about this one right here?
That one right there, that's Texas. That's a cotton. That's Cotton Bowl ring right there. Cotton Bowl, and this one right here is a.
That's a CFP.
Yeah, that's a CFP.
This one looks very similar to what we got.
Okay, man.
Thank you, G, for letting us see your rings.
Amazing. The official confetti inside the ring.
That's a team that's going to be remembered for a really, really long time here in Columbus and celebrated.
Julian Sayin back in at quarterback, trying to direct traffic here. And with defender bearing down on him, he dumps it down to Bo Jackson. Our first look at the freshman today, the number 5 running back in the nation.
What a name, too, for Bo Jackson. I'll tell you what.
Nickname, real name Lamar.
Yeah, there you go. Even better. Yeah, how about Peyton Pierce, though, at linebacker? I think when you look at this group, you referenced, You know, they lost a bunch last year, and how athletic they are. Peyton Pierce finally healthy. What a background. Like, I think every linebacker needs to have a wrestling background. You just watch how you have to take guys down in space. He was one of those guys, and really celebrated and lauded by James Laurinaitis, old Big Ten network, now, of course, coaching for Ohio State. But he's talking about how he does everything well. He comes to work with such a focus. He'll have a big role this year on this defense.
Some pressure there for Sam. Eventually has to toss it. Logan George, by the way, was 2 plays in a row has created pressure, the transfer from Idaho State off the edge. It is interesting, right? For all of the new faces, most of them are in-house or high school recruits.
Last year, you get a guy like Caleb Downs and Will Howard. Logan George is one of those guys helping reload the defensive line.
That cut loose and snagged by Mylan Graham. He had a couple opportunities in the end zone on catches he couldn't make, and he takes advantage of a chance here. Good battling today.
That's saying at his best, though. Tight spiral, beautiful quick release, accurate.
And another one to the tight end, Jelani Thurman.
The second-year player in Julian Sand playing some of his best ball for Ohio State.
Different type of throws. That one to Mylan Graham was a ripped-in, dart, accurate. The one to Thurman is a little bit more of a feathered, layered throw.
Bo Jackson, the freshman from Cleveland, only played 4 games his senior year of high school last year, the running back. And it's good to see him healthy and forcing his way into the end zone for a Scarlet touchdown.
Julian Sands, just an impressive start here to this game. I mean, he's checking every single box. There's a general consensus outside the program that it's his job to lose. Ryan Day is calling this a neck-and-neck battle. But so far, Sand is having, I mean, you got to grade him as an A at this point.
We talked to Ryan Day about it. He's been around a lot of elite quarterbacks. Think back to the Eagles with Mark Sanchez and Sam Bradford, or here at his time at Ohio State with Justin Fields and C.J. Stroud and company.
And there is now our first look at Tavian St. Clair, the number 4 overall prospect in this 2025 class, 6'4", 225 freshman from just about 50 miles outside of Columbus. And, you know, just like every other quarterback that comes into Ohio State, he comes in with so much of the same hype that all of his predecessors have had, maybe more. Sam Williams-Dixon,
He'd come and try to assess the offense and learn it and pour himself into it. And now he's finally here, dream achieved. He knows he's got a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of talented players to come out of Ohio. When Ohio State offered him and when he started his recruiting, he wasn't the prospect that he was ultimately before he stepped on campus. Ooh, that's a
Fahim
throws an
Delane.
interception there to another freshman.
That's right, freshman to freshman, and Delane, who's talked so much about how much she loves to hit. This is the number 5 safety in the 2025 class.
And what a nice job, Regis. Delane just jumping the route, saw it the entire time. And I'll tell you what, another guy that looks physically imposing. You talk to the staff about him, and they say, God, he loves to hit. He's a true thumper. He fits in the room. Big play.
Just didn't have eyes on Delane there, who just read Tavian's eyes and was able to pick the ball off.
Kienholz will give it off to Bo Jackson, who steps through a couple tackles and a third. A flag comes in. Jackson breaks through another tackle. And, you know, when you talk about projection, James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson, but can this freshman work his way into the rotation? Mr. Football in the state of Ohio, before an injury ended his senior year, luckily no surgery was required. That ball cut loose at another catch for Mylan Graham.
He was a summer arrival last year, so all season it just felt like he was drinking out of a fire hose. Said coming into this offseason, the game has slowed down a little bit, and clearly talented. Now that the game slowed down mentally, some of that talent has been able to show up.
Once upon a time, Will Howard was not, and of course developed into one of the national champion. And what you're replacing here, as Kienholz connects, is 4,000 passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, and Will Howard is down on the field with Tigers.
Right now, I'm sitting here with Will Howard, and we're just showing off a little bit of bling, you know? Yeah. It looks good. He was so gracious enough to allow me to use one for this interview. When you look at these rings, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, man, it makes it feel real, you know? And, you know, it's been a long time coming for these rings. Been waiting on these things. But, you know, it's a combination of a lot of hard work, you know, a lot of sacrifice, and, you know, a lot of love. And that's what I see when I look at these things.
you know, when you left this quarterback room, obviously there's some young guys out there, but you know these guys because you did a season with them. What should we expect to see out of this quarterback room?
I'm excited for them. They got a lot of potential, a lot of young guys with a lot of talent, and you know those guys are all made up of the right qualities. They got the right makeup. They want to be here, and it takes something to be an Ohio State quarterback, and it takes a special, different kind of dude. And all these guys got it. And it was a little redemption story against Oregon too. So, you know, I'd love to say all of them, but you know, the Tennessee was cool too because it was here in the shoe. I can't go wrong. They're all great.
Congratulations on winning the Natty, and best of luck to you in the draft.
Hey, one more thing. My dog, first quarterback in the draft, man. Stop playing. Y'all go draft him, man.
There it is. His hype man, Brandon Ennis.
You going to give him the ring back? That's the real question. Keep an eye on that. Nice pass breakup there from Jalen McLean, part of that safety battle with Malik Hartford. Jalen McLean, one of 2 players on this defense whose dads played for Matt Patricia at Syracuse. Matt Patricia was the weight room volunteer assistant when Jalen's dad, Maurice, was at Syracuse.
Thurman is 6'6", 260 with long arms. He's one of the more physically imposing players on the field.
And 14 games away from passing Urban Meyer on Ohio State's wins list. Bryson Rogers, the intended receiver there.
And Ryan Day rightfully got the big extension. Will be here hopefully for the remainder of his coaching career. And I think he's one of the greater coaches, you know, in all, not only college football now, but you could look at the last 20 years. The record would say that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's on a pace, right? You go back, Ohio State has not had a full-time head coach, not counting the one interim year of Luke Fickell. But the last time they had a head coach who was not a future Hall of Famer was 1946.
Ryan Day and this Buckeye program, they have full commitment from a resource standpoint. They've recruited as well as anybody. Ryan Day now getting that title of a national champion head coach.
We still have a ton of talent. I think that's why it's been one of the most physical springs that Ryan Day has overseen in his time as the head coach.
But it's not what he planned to do.
A good coach should be fluid, and the other side of that is a receptive roster to that physicality. I mean, Ryan Day, you talk about all the young, talented guys. They want practice to be live. They want practice to be physical.
Now we're going with a little bit of pace here at the end of this first half for Tavian St. Clair. And a flag, some movement up front.
And not just for Tavian St. Clair guy, but for also Brian Hartline. I mean, these situations, and for Matt Patricia, like how you're calling 2-minute situations. And again, it's pretty vanilla.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
If you're wondering who writes the spring game rules, by the way, it's Ryan Day. Here's Tavian St. Clair breaking out. And he gets essentially touchdown.
How do we replace? We're going to stay with the same scheme, but we need to get elite teachers.
Here's St. Clair. That cut loose and incomplete coverage that time by Brenton Inky Jones. 3rd down and long for St. Clair. Down the sideline and incomplete. Intended for David Adolph, the 4th-year walk-on. Spent a lot of time, a lot of good snaps on special teams for Ohio State last year. And now it's 4th down.
An NFL organization than a lot of college programs.
Joe McGuire to send it away to Brandon Ennis. So 38 seconds, and the clock stops at 35. Speaking of 33, Chex looks ready to hit somebody.
Always ready to hit somebody.
What a story, right? You knew him growing up. Yeah. He had idolized UJ. It was awesome to spend time with him during the run, and just the way that he did it. What a story. We were down there on the field when he had that sack cause fumble against Texas.
The goal is to win championships and win a national championship, and it might have taken a little longer than what he would have liked to get there, but doesn't take away at all from how special that season was.
Julian Saint gets it down to Sam Williams-Dixon, who's tackled by Devin Sanchez, who you guys mentioned a couple times, but even in this quick offense, number 4 on the defense is a guy worth watching, the number 8 overall player in this class, and has made a push for playing time so far in camp this year. That's Desai Jones, another freshman.
Sayin has looked extremely comfortable. He's operating really comfortable right now.
Sayin again, and his receiver fell down, and that was Quincy Porter. We've been waiting for Quincy to make a catch today. He's such a big story, the 6'4" freshman from New Jersey. A week ago, he lost his black stripe. The first freshman to shed the black stripe on his helmet. And
similar timeline with the black stripe to Jeremiah Smith. Similar build, 6'4", 205 long arms. Maybe not as muscular yet as Jeremiah Smith. And you know, I was waiting for him to make a play because my uncle coached him at Bergen Catholic out in New Jersey. So I've heard about him for a few years now. My uncle said this guy's going to be an absolute star and a stud. And it's an important point to make. Quincy Porter would start and be a star for, you see a little spring game scuffle.
Little shove.
Blow the whistles, back to the huddle. But Quincy Porter, there's good blocking too, as the screen. And
It's halftime.
Aaron Scott didn't like it, but
because that gets you kicked out of the game.
we got halftime. Quincy Porter's a stud. It's been a fun first half. Still more to come here from Columbus.
The plan here for an Ohio State recruit is to come here, develop, and then get drafted and have your degree. If you don't do that, as Ryan Day shared with us earlier this week, it's somewhat of a disappointment if you don't get one of those two things accomplished. So the players know the environment they're walking into. That's why I love them having this game, because you get to see players on the stage, which is the horseshoe.
It was the first time that I ever tried to do a 4K, and I got through it. It was not the easiest thing in the world, but crossing that finish line at the end, you truly feel like you accomplished something. You know, Jake, I'm trying to get back to my peak shape. You know, I got like 20 to 30 pounds to lose.
Lincoln Kienholz hands it off here to Bo Jackson in the first half. This will be a 12-minute third quarter with the clock up to Ryan Day. Mylan Graham off and running and gone for a touchdown.
it's an embarrassment of riches in this Buckeye wide receiver room. I think their second unit, which is led by Mylan Graham today, would start at the majority of schools across the country. And Mylan Graham, a young sophomore, clearly sky-high limit, generating a ton of buzz this spring and really putting a stamp on this spring ball with his performance today so far.
Playing wide out in between the hashes is not for the faint of heart. How about after the catch there against Malik Hartford, one of the guys competing to be one of the starting safeties. Nice little move. Never really leaves his feet when he catches the ball across the middle.
You know, just looking at Ohio State in pads, this is a physically mature roster. They don't have any wide receivers that look like they need to add weight. They have all their wide receivers look like college wide receivers or NFL wide receivers. He lost 30 pounds. A bunch of these freshmen have added weight or lost weight depending on what they need. It's a credit to the strength staff.
There you saw offensive coordinator Brian Hartline now on the sideline as Phillip Bell, the freshman, makes that catch.
You see some of these young freshmen that are early enrollees. So depending on when you get on campus is a big piece of that. The mental side of college football, and you can really shine.
Part of what matters so much is where the depth is on the offensive line. I mean, it's incredible to win a national championship as they did last year.
Now the new NCAA rule, unlimited coaches allowed to participate on the field. They bring in Tyler Bowen, who was the play caller over at Virginia Tech. He's the head offensive line coach. I think that might be an interception
by Inky Jones. The pressure was there from Eric Mensah, and it is an interception.
That's a heck of a play.
That's a really nice play. Watch him just high point the ball.
Do we need Mike Pereira? No, that's clear.
I think we're good.
He's in bounds.
Julian Sayin at quarterback with the flip to Sam Williams-Dixon. And closing quickly to make that tackle is Riley Pettyjohn.
I'm sitting here with Caleb Downs. Caleb, obviously y'all came off the national championship. What has it been like trying to get these younger guys to lock in?
It's been a positive for me just to be able to take a leadership role in helping people and helping the guys try to grow every day. And I think we've done that this spring. We've gotten better from where we started at, and there's going to be more to do. So,
what have you seen out of these young guys? We got 2 picks on the day.
Very competitive. I like our young DBs. They made a lot of plays, and they're going to continue to get better. So it's been good.
You've talked a lot about playing the offensive side of the ball. We know that you're a dynamic punt returner. Is this the year that we see you get some carries?
I mean, that's not up to me. That's up to Coach Day and them on the offensive side. But, I mean, I'm going to just do my job, and whatever they ask me to do, I'm do it at the highest level I can. I feel like, the most basic things, tackling, coverage for DB, those can be things that always can get better. And then playing better in zone and stuff is
always a good thing. And you got a new defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia. What has it been like working with him?
It's been great. Been a learning experience for me because he's been in the league so long. So it's a great chance for me to see what that league does and everything that they do. And I've taken advantage of it, and I will continue to try to learn from him.
Well, you say you want to be an all-around football player. Being a finalist for the Thorpe, the Bednarik, the Lott, I would say that is an all-around football player. What do you say? Best defensive player, best player in the country?
No doubt. I think when you look at the diverse elements of his game, they just continue to stand out. I mean, just go to the back half of the season. He played the deep third. He played at linebacker. He played in coverage. He was physical at the point of attack. He made plays of the ball in the air. He had a punt return for a touchdown on this field against Indiana. I mean, he can do everything. I think he's the most dominant player on defense in America. I think he was drafted today. He'd be a top 5 pick. I mean, he's that special. And when you have the best player on defense,
Would not be shocked to see him and Jeremiah Smith both competing for that trophy.
Julian Sayin taking another shot, and it is broken up. What a play from Lorenzo Styles Jr. against Mylan Graham, the most productive receiver today. You know that Caleb Downs is going to love that.
how well are guys coached in the back end? You see him there talking to the coaches in the secondary. The defense just on Matt Patricia. That's an immaculate job, guy, of understanding not to get the PI, where the eyes are of the wide receiver, and then playing through the hands to get the incompletion.
Just to add, too, understanding situations. It was 3rd and 17. Mylan, they put Mylan on a double move.
James Laurinaitis has talked about a lot. Number 11, C.J. Hicks on this defense. What role he could play this year in a new role, moving from linebacker to defensive end?
Well, they want him to be an every down player, right? Coming from linebacker, you're seeing the game through linebacker eyes, safety eyes, meaning you're a little further away from the ball. Then you get to the line of scrimmage. Now you got to see it differently. So all spring long, C.J. Hicks has stayed after practice with Matt Patricia and company, Larry Johnson and company, and just working on the little nuances of hand placement, working through a block. I think we'll just see tremendous growth as he continues to just get reps in practice at that position, because he's physical, he's explosive, and they need somebody that can be a game wrecker coming off the edge. He's got the tools to potentially be that this fall.
They would love, Ohio State would love to see an Abdul Carter type jump going from linebacker to edge.
Well, that throw uncorked and on the money from St. Clair. Some really good freshmen on the field right now. Coming off the right edge is Zion Grady, the freshman pass rusher. Another catch for Quincy Porter.
And be an elite player for them. Those guys chose to come to Ohio State as we see some of that dual threat potential with Tavian St. Clair running the ball.
With those young players we saw on that list, they all were at the CFP experience. 4 games being around this veteran roster. I think it's one of the unsung storylines. There you see it again. What a shot from St. Clair again, back to Porter.
They're excited about him with how they're targeting him. Win at the line of scrimmage. Quincy Porter 6'4", so the ball is in a great location up top for him to go make that play.
Jake Alpachuk, quarterbacks, get the ball finish on the face mask.
And getting the moment there over on the bench. So hope that he's all right. And that play is blown up immediately by Joey Velasquez. Sam Williams-Dixon back in at running back now. St. Clair, plenty of time and on the move. And he'll tuck it and run, closing.
As a former 5-star, I think he has a chance to be really, really special. But again, it's the depth behind those guys that'll be key.
So here's a long field goal attempt for Jaden Fielding. Of course, he's been perfect today, both on extra points and field goals. A long try of 43 yards. And he got it. And that's great to see. You think about the year that he had last year, missed a couple of games at the end of the year, the Michigan game, 1 against Tennessee, bounced back, made 2 against Oregon in the national title. And he said it was a trying year, no question. He revealed he played most of last year with a torn hip. And so hopefully health will also lead to the consistency that he said he's seeking.
He's just so passionate about this program.
He said this week his confidence is 10 times higher than it was last year. Wow. Great second effort there from Bo Jackson. That looked like it was going nowhere. Jason Moore had stuffed it up along with Taiwan Malone, and Jackson was able to fight for positive yards. And that is the end of the third quarter.
Well, won't have to wait very long to find out about all these new pieces.
Now I think with the longevity of the season, the expanded playoff, it's okay if you don't come out and drill Texas or even win the game. It's all good. It's a long season, but you find out reality real fast.
Also don't play Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, no Nebraska on the schedule this year.
Not only is he extremely versatile, he can play literally everywhere on this offensive line, Jake. He also is one of the 3 that won that Iron Buckeye Award, which is the toughness, all the intangibles, but he's waited his turn. He's now sitting in the front row. He's doing all the things that are necessary. And a huge part of this offensive line, as you know, is the physicality. And it's also how they train them. You have a primary position, you have a secondary position. I think it's going to be great for this offensive front as they have to go through a long season. But hey, we come back, we win the national championship. And then we have our first team meeting. And you remember that from a player.
And Kienholz will give it, and the line creates plenty of space for Bo Jackson off and racing before he's finally pulled down by Malik Hartford.
Watch that group right there as the play unfolds.
There's your left tackle too, Onyanwa, the transfer. He's been behind some key blocks. The tight end's mixing it up as well. The 4-minute drill to close out the game against Penn State, where they're loading the box. Everyone knows the Buckeyes are going to run it, and yet they could not stop it. We've seen some nice holes open up.
Offense number 3.
And again, he played for Mike Bloomgren, who's now the offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns. He said he could come to the NFL right now, but he wanted to come here and continue to develop. The play action.
And the touch to LeBlanc, who's got a first down, and a block out in front from Quincy Porter. Good to see Porter back. Kienholz, wide open out of the backfield. The running back, Williams Dixon, with the touchdown.
Does a really nice job, Kienholz. You know, you get to the line of scrimmage, you assess. What's my indicator? Watch his eyes. He knows from jump. It's man-to-man coverage. Who's on the back? He's going to beat the backer. No problem. Easy pitch and catch touchdown.
Just not enough time in the day. So.
Little play action. St. Clair, and it's snagged by the freshman Nate Roberts for a big gain.
Billy gets elevated, coaching the QBs now, and a huge part of this position, as we all know, is above the shoulders. And at some point in your career, you drop your shoulders. So that's his lens. Some coaches that call plays can just see defensive line. They can see coverage. They can see rotation a little better. You're up in the booth, and you might as well be on an island. You know, you can't hear anything. You can't feel anything.
To a number of different weapons.
Well, Carnell Tate said it. He said, well, Coach Hartline's got the keys now, so that means more balls for us.
We are going to make each other better because we know Jeremiah Smith, I'm the best receiver in America. And on the other side, Caleb Downs, I'm the best DB in America.
Quarterback in high school, what a great story he is. Tavian St. Clair looking the other way, and that's through the hands of Dorian Williams. But Bodpen Miller, adopted at late age 5, age 6 from Ethiopia, and stayed in close contact with his family back there, and has so much pride, not just for his birth country, but now being a part of football here in this state.
Defensively, you're finding out, can we match you strength for strength, speed for speed? So that element has been fun to watch on the line of scrimmage throughout this afternoon in the final portion of this game.
Been a good day for Julian Sayin so far, and he completes the first play of this drive.
But look at the communication here, getting the other 10 guys set up and ready to go. Decisive.
Roberts with a first down.
And that has all been, 9-10 to me all day long watching him operate.
Pressure coming up the middle from Logan George, and a big sack for the Idaho State transfer.
When they were on the road at Oregon, he said it was one of the greatest things that he learned as a quarterback in his entire career. And look what he did from that moment on.
Sayin into traffic, was moving deftly in the pocket, couldn't connect it with Max LeBlanc. So now 3rd and 22, 29 seconds remaining. Sayin trying to set up the screen. Defensive line recognized it.
Let's see where he goes with this. Quincy Porter down at the bottom of your screen.
Deep drop pressure, and the second sack of the series for Logan George. So what are we going to get here in the last 14 seconds? Ryan Day orchestrating. The defense really stepped up to the challenge in that 2-minute opportunity. Here's Phillip Bell getting out of bounds. St. Clair directing traffic pre-snap. And that is caught. Nate Roberts has had a nice day. That's a first down.
Porter down to the bottom of the screen. Keep an eye on him.
First and goal. St. Clair looking that way, and instead it is Phillip Bell with the catch. He beats Fahim Delane, freshman to freshman, beating a freshman for the score.
Great location, too.
That is the end of the fourth quarter. That is the end of the game.
50 points for the Scarlet, which is the offense, against the Gray. And zone 6, that receiver group, they were in there today. And a good way for Tavian St. Clair to end it as well.
Spring ball is officially over. What did you see out of your guys?
I feel like guys were, competing, getting after it, giving good effort. Got a long way to go. Long way to go.
Coach, you also, everybody talks about the players that's left. You also lost 2 coordinators. What did you see out of your coordinators this spring?
Well, I think for the first, spring here, Matt's really done a nice job of building relationships with the guys. Done a great job in recruiting.